The first video game I ever played was probably Street Fighter or something. Maybe one of those arcade games where you point the gun and shoot the zombies. Do you remember those? God, they were bad. But the game I always identify as the first real game I ever played was Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, when I played it, it was already old. I must have been around 3 or 4, and by that point, Sonic Adventure was out, but I didn't know that. I was just happy with the Sega Mega Drive my dad had procured through some shady dealings with a friend from work. Yeah, alright, Dad. And a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog from 6 years before I was born. Now, if you know Sonic, you know where he came from, and if you don't, then here's a super fast rundown, as I'm sure every Sonic video on the planet takes time to lay out his origins. Sega wanted desperately to compete with Mario. You know Mario. If you don't, then I can't help you. They held a competition to design a new mascot. A spiky little blue hedgehog was born. Of the few initial concepts, Naoto Oshima took some of the photos and showed them around to random people in Central Park for some reason. A large majority picked their favorite as the blue hedgehog design. Oshima felt the reason for this was because the design transcends race and gender and things like that. So in 1991, Sonic really said,
"It's cool to be LGBT."
In Sonic's final design, there was a lot of inspiration from Michael Jackson to Santa Claus. It doesn't matter why, use your imagination. Eggman was even inspired by a drawing of Teddy Roosevelt in pajamas. I really wish Sega still had this innovative creative flair. But none of that is entirely important for this video. This isn't a history of Sonic, it's not a retrospective, really. I scoured the web and I couldn't find one serious critique of Sonic the Hedgehog from 1991. Like a proper in-depth sit down, let's break this game apart until there's nothing left sort of critique. So I decided it had to be me. Don't get me wrong, I didn't exactly do the most extensive search, so I'm sure there is one out there. I'm just giving myself and an earned pat on the back. I want to look at Sonic the Hedgehog, the original from 1991, as if it came out today, because a lot of people like to compare games to others that came out at the same time, and standards change. I think a far more fun way to look at old games is to really hold them against our current standards, to see how games have improved, maybe how well old games hold up, and how much I can nitpick the shit out of them. The fun part of this whole project was that I never finished Sonic as a kid. I played Green Hill over and over and over and over and over, but I never finished it. Even when I eventually played the Sonic Classic Collection on the DS, I only ever got as far as Marble Zone, and I know that because on this replay, when I finished Marble Zone, I went, oh, there's more game. Obviously, I knew there was more game, but I'd never seen it with my own eyes. The reason why is because of how Sonic 1 in its original form was structured. A lot of home console games in the early 90s didn't have save systems because they were still working on the foundations of arcade games. Machines that were designed to steal your money by making their games unsavable and sometimes unforgivably hard. So what I wanted to do for this video was to get as close to the original Genesis Mega Drive version of Sonic 1 as I could without forking over, that's really cheap. I expected it to be way more expensive. For reference, every time I say Genesis or Mega Drive, it's the same console. It's just in the UK it was called the Mega Drive because, well, I mean, Sega ended up out of the console business for a reason. I'm putting it all on this. I emulated the game completely legally and ordered a Genesis controller from Amazon so that I could have the authentic experience. And then I booted it all up. Oh my god, the nostalgia. Oh no, this was never going to be an unbiased video, was it? The goal of each level in Sonic the Hedgehog is simple. Reach the end as fast as possible while amassing the highest score. Getting to the end goal is done by utilizing 3 core pillars of gameplay: momentum, platforming, and exploration. Let's jump right into momentum. But before that, a really quick word from our sponsor, Opera GX. Opera GX is the browser made specifically for gamers, and I have to say, it's got a lot of cool features that I've never really seen in any other browser before. If you've ever been playing a game and you've noticed it dropping frames or lagging, it could be caused by your browser. But with Opera GX, this isn't a problem. You can actually limit how much RAM and CPU that your browser is using, leaving more power for your games, music, or whatever else you're doing. So feel free to keep plenty of tabs open without worrying about hurting your PC's performance.
You can also use the network limiter to limit the bandwidth used by Opera GX browser to avoid lag in games or dropping frames on streams. Most browsers out there are pretty plain and boring to look at, but Opera GX is visually gorgeous. Everything about this browser is modern and sleek to look at and use. You could choose from their special wallpapers, customizable neon-inspired themes, and light or dark mode. Another thing I really like is the picture-in-picture mode, which means you can have a YouTube video or a stream playing in the background, but not actually have it in the background. It stays on top of whatever you're doing. And if you're interested in switching over to Opera GX as your main browser, not only is it free, but it couldn't be easier to do. You just download it, install it, customize it with everything you want to be on your browser, and then you can even import your bookmarks from your old browser, no matter which one you were using previously, with just a couple of clicks. And don't forget the GX Corner, where you can stay up to date with free games, the best deals, and the newest releases. I've been using Opera GX for probably the last 12 months, since whenever they sponsored me last, and honestly, the change is night and day. I could never go back to Chrome after this. It's so much faster, there's so many more features, it's just so much more user-friendly, and I honestly could not recommend using this browser more. And it's also on mobile, which I actually use as well as my main browser on my mobile, so you can use it wherever you go. So if you want to check out Opera GX, you can do. The link is in the description. Give it a download, check it out, and thank you again to Opera GX for sponsoring this video.
Now, although speed is Sonic's thing, it's not really how you play Sonic 1, which might sound like they just fucked it. But hear me out, speed is a reward for playing well. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, Sonic demands patience, gathering of knowledge, and muscle memory, which all will be rewarded with speed. But we'll talk about that a little more later on, just keep it in mind. Momentum really is what tears this game apart from Mario, or the way it plays with momentum more accurately. Your goal is to build speed, and you build speed by using the level design and environment to propel yourself forward. Sonic has a default maximum run speed, but you can go faster by using your simple abilities and momentum. It could be something as simple as just going down a hill, but it could be something more complicated like running towards a springboard that will send you sailing the other way, pushing down to turn into a ball, thereby increasing your speed, and using that to jump at the top of a hill to send you flying to a previously unreachable area to gain an extra life. Sonic's momentum is a sandbox for creative play, and it's leagues above anything Mario was doing, and I will die on that hill. I do believe that Sonic 1 and of course the subsequent entries into the classic formula are some of the best examples of momentum-based movement in video games. Spider-Man 2 is another quality example as well, and refined systems that work like they do will simply never not hold up well. There's something unmatched about using momentum to give Sonic more and more speed, to send him flying over the level, to string together moves and acrobatics to more efficiently complete the levels, a true sense of speed, rather than fabricated and surface level speed that's given to us by the boost formula. Don't attack me for that comment, there's a lot to love about the unleashed boost formula, but there's something so damn special about using momentum to keep Sonic running rather than clicking a button to boost. And that's another key element about the original Sonic from '91. It didn't have the spin dash, which is honestly kind of insane. That move has become synonymous with the character being used across plenty of the extended media, yet it wasn't present in the original game. Of course, the spin dash adds a whole new way of playing, but something I love about the original is that without the spin dash, you're left to rely purely on skill to keep momentum up. You can't just quickly spin dash to send Sonic flying, you really have to fall back on how good you are at the controls, how well you can read the environment, and that's something quite unique to the release of the original Sonic 1. Which brings us onto the environment itself and how it's used in the building of momentum. Mario was always flat, and you just sort of jump over obstacles. It was a very blocky game. Now Sonic, however, dared to be curvy, and I think that's really, really hard. Sonic's landscape is windy. It goes... no, that's not the word. Sonic's landscape is windy. It goes up and down and even has little bumps in the terrain that Sonic moves over. Look at how the bridges move when Sonic runs on them. That deformation of terrain on the bridges affects movement when jumping. Even tiny little bumps in the ground cause Sonic to jump differently because of how the shape of the terrain launches him. It means that you have to be mindful of when you're jumping, but also that if you jump on a curve just right, you could come. Now, there's some issues with the system, and it's more jank than anything inbuilt. It's just an old game being being an old game. There are certain instances where Sonic will just stop. It doesn't happen often, but it shouldn't really happen at all. It'll be for no reason, and it gets in the way of the flow of the level, which I'd say is quite a decent flaw. I think the reason is because of the geometry not knowing which direction you're coming from or something, and Sonic is interacting with it incorrectly. I don't know, I've never fucking made a game before, I don't know what I'm talking about. But it doesn't happen all the time, just really rare occasions. But other than that, I couldn't really find anything fundamental to the momentum system to actually critique. I can tell you why it's good, but there's nothing that makes it bad. The system is pretty much flawless. Now, how it's utilized by level design is another story, but I have a point to make based on this later on in another section of the video, so just hold on to that thought for a bit. Or forget it entirely, you don't need to do homework for me. Momentum is the core part of Sonic. It's what makes it unique. It tears it apart from other games in the same genre. Correct use of momentum will send you higher in the level, avoiding danger and allowing you to get through the level quicker, as is the goal. But it's not the only thing you need to think about when playing, which brings us on to gameplay pillar number 2, platforming. Sonic is a platformer by definition, but I've never really felt that it's a true platformer, mainly because if you use momentum properly and get your speed up, your aim is to skip the platforming, using well-timed jumps and running really quick. But the game has platforming. If you aren't doing a perfect run of a level, you'll find yourself platforming very often, especially in the bad levels. We'll talk a little bit about the huge difference in level quality later, it'll all come together. But sometimes the game punishes you for going quickly and expects you to stand still. What the fuck? When doing this, you'll have to jump across floating platforms, swinging platforms, moving platforms, all kinds of platforms, usually above spikes or lava or literally nothing but death. The great part about this is how damn tight the controls are. Sonic 1 is insanely tight. It's a tight Sonic pussy. You never feel out of control. You always feel like you're able to maneuver properly, and if you fuck up, it's probably your fault. Misjudging a jump, mistiming a leap, it's never really the game, and that's something really valuable in a platformer. Sonic, after it transitioned into 3D, never truly managed to build controls as tight as the originals had. The adventure games and Heroes do feel the tightest of the 3D era probably, but Forces is just a fucking joke. You'd think that after 30 years you'd be able to make something, if not better, at least as good, you know? I do enjoy the way platforming is incorporated into level design for some actually really nice set pieces, like the ending of Marble Zone Act 3 or the start of Scrap Brain Act 2 with these cool spinny wheels. They're visually satisfying as well as being really well designed to actually play. It just brings together the set design with the gameplay loop to make something unique to a particular stage. I guess part of the platforming is also the combat. It's not really combat though, which isn't really a problem. Each level has enemies, all of Robotnik's horrid creatures, and to kill them you either jump on them or you roll into them. It gives you points and it feels nice to do, and also releases a little nice animal friend, which plays into the very vague narrative that exists in Sonic, which we'll touch upon later. Now, there are some strange parts of the platforming. I mean, look at this bit from Scrap Brain Act 2. Yeah, this took me really, really long. Is this section just designed really strangely, or was I having a game journalist moment? Because I can't tell. I've looked at this footage so much, and I really don't know what happened. It's got to be jank, right? Like, you step on the button, it opens the thing, then you jump, and it closes. Like, what the fuck is happening? And also, there are moments where the game will just think Sonic got crushed by the geometry, not causing you to lose rings, but just to die on the spot when you weren't actually crushed. The game just thought you were crushed. It's just these smaller things that can really harm the overall experience, especially in a game where lives are sacred, otherwise the game literally reboots like an arcade game. Put in another fucking coin, you degenerate. Alright, I will. Exploration is the third pillar of gameplay in classic Sonic, and something that I don't think is talked about enough. Each level has pretty much 3 paths that you can take: the high road, the mid road, or the low road. The low road is usually the less risky path, although you'll find more enemies and less rings. The mid road is usually where the average player tries to remain, it's the most balanced path, and then you've got the high road, which has less enemies, more pickups, and a faster route to the end goal. Each path is based on a risk-reward system that the player weighs upon the fly. Although the goal is to reach the end of the level as quickly as you possibly can, it benefits you to explore the level as you play them. The main reason being you get bonuses for particular objectives. If you explore enough, you find these little boxes hidden throughout the levels. Some give you invincibility for a short period, allowing you to just run through the level without a care in the world. Some give you speed shoes that can increase Sonic's base speed. Some are shields to protect you from attacks and are a one-time use. Some are extra rings, and some give you 1 extra life. Possibly the most valuable pickup up in all of Sonic the Hedgehog. In a game where you restart the entire thing if you run out of lives, you're gonna want as many as you can get your hands on, and this game is stingy with them. However, there is another way to get extra lives, and it's a bit more tricky. If you manage to collect 100 rings, which means picking up 100 of these things individually without taking damage, you get 1 extra life, which is very nice and allows the player extra reason to collect more and more rings. Now, the final reason to collect rings is because if you collect 50 and finish the level with 50, you unlock a special stage, and these are pretty cool. Each special stage is I don't know what this is. Sonic has to roll around these rotating shapes in order to find the Chaos Emerald, of which there are 6. Which, if you know Sonic, that's weird. When and why did they add a 7th? Well, I know why, and I know when. But I'll keep you on the edge of your seat for when we talk about that when we eventually get to the game that's relevant. Oh, that's right. I'm doing every Sonic game. Not in this video, just eventually. That's the plan anyway. Each special stage is different and more complex the further you get. They actually did piss me off a little bit at the start, mainly because you can find yourself hitting off of a bounce pad thing and then touching the reverse icon, which sends the screen rotating in the other direction, but you do it over and over with little control, so you find yourself sort of fucked. But I do think there's a knack to it. It's not a broken mechanic because I've seen people master it and it's pretty crazy to watch. But as far as my ability goes, yeah, fuck. But collecting all 6 of these precious gems unlocks the true ending, which we'll talk about later, alright? This video needs structure or I will lose my mind. Exploration of levels, I think, is something really unique to Sonic. It's not really crazy innovative by today's standards. I mean, a lot of platformers do some amount of level exploration, but even ones similar to Sonic, like Celeste, which, I mean, isn't really similar, but it's like 2D and pixel art and also really fucking good, have more of a linear progression, whereas Sonic has multiple paths, sometimes reachable only by specific routes, and so instead of heading directly to the goal, taking time to explore and backtrack is worth your time, something that Mario never tried to do. That being said, there's not a lot to see. So although you can get the Chaos Emeralds for gathering 50 rings or maybe an extra life, there's not enough to see that it serves as anything more than a means to get you lost. Another way they simply tried to enforce the learning of levels for future knowledge more than designing its levels to be played for the first time. If the game had secret collectibles hidden throughout the levels, then maybe it'd get some extra points for having these optional routes. Maybe the special stages could have been hidden in off the beaten track areas of levels rather than being a reward for finishing a level with 50 plus rings. But without any sort of collectible system or deep incentive to go off the beaten track, it really becomes a way to maybe gain an extra life, but more than anything, a means to get you lost while you're surveying a level. It's not a design choice that's inherently bad, it's just not inherently good either. I think by today's standards it feels rather misleading and empty, whereas at the time it was similar to dungeon crawling in Final Fantasy. Without having a map to guide you, you'd have to try every single twist and turn in a dungeon until you found the right way. Sonic is nowhere near as egregious, but it's a similar design philosophy, still piggybacking off of the arcade formula that tries to squeeze more and more money from the player. Only there isn't any money, only time. So much precious time. Anything lacking, however, in the exploration of levels is more than made up for in charm. Sonic's art style, animation, music, and essence has so much charm it's ready to overflow. Sonic himself is a wonderful design, simple yet full of character. His iconic silhouette, his determined expression, iconic colors, it's such an inspired design that conveys so much with so little information. Sprites from this era were honestly so inventive and creative with how they were made. Animation matches too, from the idle stance if you leave the game sitting too long, the way Sonic slides down waterfalls, how he perches on the edge of an object if he's going to fall off, the way he gasps for air underwater. That's terrifying. The animation of Sonic does so much to characterize him. He's a character brimming with energy. Unlike Mario, who was characterized far more by additional media, Sonic, I feel, is characterized first and foremost by his game, through his sprite and animation set to help us understand who he is. As you play these levels, you get the sense that Sonic is loving it. He's having a blast racing through these stages, handing it to Robotnik, and that he genuinely cares for the animals he's trying to save. It could be because I have the foreknowledge of who Sonic is, but I genuinely believe that the design and animation of this 1991 game conveys all of that information so subtly. The levels too aren't without their own set of charm. The game is made up of 6 zones, with one final zone for the final boss. Green Hill, Marble Zone, Spring Yard, Labyrinth, Starlight, and Scrap Brain. Each zone is unique with its own artistic theme derived from various things. Spring Yard, for example, is based on a casino. I'm a sucker for casino zones, so honestly this might be my favourite zone in the game. I love when levels turn Sonic into a little pinball. Oh. Each stage also seems to add new gameplay mechanics, nothing huge and game-changing, but pieces of level design that alter how you interact with levels using the base mechanics. Green Hill is simple, it's a basic race to the end. Marble Zone introduces buttons and pushable blocks, as well as some more dangerous elements. Spring Yard introduces the bounce panel things, like I said before, turning Sonic into a little pinball. Labyrinth, unfortunately, introduces water. Starlight uses moving staircases and fans to control Sonic's direction and increase speed when used correctly, as well as these little weighted pad things. You throw the ball up and then it comes back down and it sends you flying up in the air like an old-timey cartoon. And then Scrap Brain sort of combines all these different elements while adding in stuff like these chutes that take you from level to level and the cool wheel things that you can stick to. There's a ton more things in each level, but those are just some of the examples of how each level introduces something new to play with and keeps things fresh, allowing you to slowly get to grips with the core mechanics and use them in varying circumstances that become more complicated the longer you play.
Now this said, let's jump back into something I said before. Although speed is Sonic's thing, it's not really how you play Sonic 1. Speed is a reward for playing well. For the most part, Sonic demands patience, gathering of knowledge, and refining of muscle memory, all which will be rewarded with speed. Now, this is a double-edged sword because there are some levels that simply grind you to a halt, and I don't think it's to the game's benefit. Now bear in mind, there is an opposite way to go about discussing this particular criticism, and I will go into that too. But let's just start here. Green Hill, Spring Yard, and Starlight are the best levels in Sonic 1. The reason being they are all about speed with increasing difficulty. Green Hill is a breeze. You can still fuck it up, but for the most part, this level's easy. It's why as a kid I could play it over and over. Spring Yard is harder. It requires skill, but it doesn't really often require stopping Sonic. It requires fast reactions and well-timed jumps, but the idea is to keep your speed going. Same goes for Starlight. In a lot of cases, actually, Starlight really encourages speed with these loops and large jumps to throw you over obstacles. If you were taking your time, you'd die. But in between these perfectly designed levels, we have Marble Zone, Labyrinth, and Scrap Brain. Now, of these slower levels, Scrap Brain is definitely the best designed, although I don't really know what Scrap Brain means, but that's fine. Marble Zone and Labyrinth, however, really work to slow down Sonic and turn the fundamental aim of the game against you. Now, I find this irritating, because on a first-time play, these levels are built so that you die over and over again, from really stupid shit. Lava you couldn't possibly have known was there without playing before, spikes hidden just off screen, platforms that take you into spikes, sections of water that you can't know the length of. These levels are fundamentally built to force you to replay them over and over, artificially bloating the game due to the fact there isn't a save function. In a game where you're meant to go fast, going fast in Marble Zone usually results in... And if you play properly, you're gonna spend your time... I can't say this is what I play Sonic for. These levels feel like they exist to make the game longer, because with a game that's all about speed, you're going to finish it relatively quickly if the levels are all built for that purpose. This feels very, very similar to the modern Sonic conundrum. All the way from Sonic Adventure 1 through to Sonic Frontiers, they've tried to figure out ways to make the games last longer. Not necessarily for bloat, but because Sonic moves so quickly and the aim is to reach the end as fast as possible, your game is going to be so short if every level just allows for that sort of gameplay. It's why Sonic Adventure 1 gives you tons of different, slower character stories. It's why Sonic Adventure 2 has you alternate. It's why Heroes has teams. It's why Shadow has bullshit objectives and branching paths. 06 has 3 characters, one of which is a slow emo motherfucker. Unleashed has the Werehog. Generations has classic Sonic, and Forces has classic and the Avatar. And Frontiers has an open world. Sonic, as just Sonic, will always end up being short unless you're able to make 50 plus levels, and even then, it's only going to be a few hours. Marble Zone's lava and Labyrinth's water act as these buffers to stop you from finishing the game too quickly. They hold you back on purpose or trick you into dying so you don't finish the game in an hour flat, but to the point of it being ridiculously hard to finish the game in one sitting at all.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember ASDF movie very well. No way, dude!
Now let's talk about the opposite approach to this that I mentioned before. You could very well argue that this design plays into the idea of memorizing each stage so that you're equipped with the knowledge to finish each stage as quickly as possible, and that you're not meant to breeze through first try. That actually, this design philosophy encourages taking it slow for the first 10 goes of the game, then starting to speed up the more familiar you are with the levels. And I do agree to an extent that this is possibly the only major benefit of this design philosophy. However, let me retort that by saying you can do both. That's why Sonic 2 is so strong. Chemical Plant isn't easy, but it also doesn't try to grind you to a halt. You take the higher path and you're golden, you take the lower path and you're punished for it. It's a level and a game that rewards the player for playing well, using speed and height, and punishes the player for falling behind. It's a game that with more time played and more knowledge, you can really blitz it and show off some insane skill, but if you're a more casual player, you can also have plenty of fun too with moment-to-moment skill. Sonic 1 does this very well in Green Hill, Spring Yard, and Starlight, but absolutely does not in Marble Zone and Labyrinth Zone. Scrap Brain is just sort of there. Like I said, it's fine. It's not like an example of the game being good or bad, it's just sort of middling, at least I think so. To top it off though, no matter the stage, the music is top notch. I'll always be kind of amazed at how composers can create such iconic and melodic and wonderful music using these little 16-bit machines. Music in Sonic 1 has such character to it in ways that newer Sonic entries have never managed to achieve, especially this Sonic Forces rubbish.
Oh, that's not Green Hill. What is that?
You've got to find it.
That's not nice.
Boss fights are kind of a staple of Sonic, right? I mean, they are, so shut up. There are 6 boss fights in the game, one for each zone, and they all sort of match the zone they're from, to an extent. Maybe they don't, actually, scratch that. The final boss of the game even has its own zone, and is somehow the worst boss fight. Just like, really sucks, sorry. You've got the Egg Wrecker for Green Hill, in which you have to hit Robotnik while he swings a fucking wrecking ball at you. There's Egg Scorcher on Marble Zone, which is probably the easiest one. He just sort of drops fire on the platform and then moves to the other one. But the fire is put out with plenty of time, so you just move over, attack, swap platform, attack. It's fun though. Egg Stinger, in which he stabs you with a stinger and you have to move away so he grabs the platform instead of hitting you and then you jump on his stupid bald head. Egg Spiker, which uses fun little weighted platform things from Starlight Zone, but the spiky balls are bombs and you send them flying into Eggman. It's pretty cool. You've got the final boss, the Egg Crusher, which, like I said, kinda sucks because it's just these cylinders that come down and get you, and you just sort of hit the one with Robotnik in it. It's really mind-numbing, honestly. And also, Labyrinth Zone boss, which doesn't seem to have a name. It's just called Labyrinth Zone boss, which makes sense because it's literally just Sonic chasing Eggman as he tries not to drown and assaulting him. I mean, he's a bad guy, but this seems kind of unprovoked. They're fun fights with simple yet satisfying mechanics that make it fun to actually beat the fights. They're not exactly groundbreaking, and a lot of them can easily be broken by just repeatedly hitting Eggman and tearing the game in two, but if you play them properly, they're a nice little challenge at the end of a level, without trying too hard to screw you over. Although, I think it's pretty clear that the boss fights were not a focus by quite a significantly noticeable margin, otherwise they probably have more depth. Narrative. Narrative. This game has a loose one. Now, of course, we all sort of know the story of Sonic 1 and the classic titles, but I want to try and explain the story using just the game information. Nothing else, just what we see. This could be completely wrong, but this is how it comes across. Sonic lives in Green Hill, and as he's running about, random robots show up. He thinks, ah, no, not in my town, and he kills all of them. Justifiably, as when he does, little animals come out. Not sentient ones like Sonic, he's literally the only one of his kind. But this means someone is kidnapping animals and using them to power robots to take over Green Hill. Somehow. Sonic races through Green Hill to track down the perpetrator who's left fucking spikes everywhere, the little rascal. Finally, catching up with the man in his little hover buggy thing, he straight up assaults him, asking questions later. After beating Eggman, whose name we don't know by the way, Sonic finds a capsule full of animals. This sadistic bastard was just keeping them trapped for seemingly no reason. Sonic then proceeds to chase him across the world he lives in through various environments, some very precarious, killing machines and defeating Robotnik, whose name we don't know by the way, until he reaches this secret base where he kills the mad scientist and blows up his lab. Oh, and also during his travels he enters this weird fucking dimension where he has to pinball around to collect emeralds, and he just sort of holds onto them in his ass, I guess. Once the scientist is dealt with, Sonic thinks nothing more of it and heads back to Green Hill. The animal's free and the emeralds here, he throws them into the air and they fucking vanish. The end. Honestly, I love it. Also, getting the emeralds at the end is, like, that's the true ending. That's the good ending from collecting them from the special stages. If you don't do that, you get a little screen where everything's the same, but you just get the screen where Robotnik is, like, taunting you, throwing him. He's like, try again. Play the whole thing again. You fucking loser. Sonic the Hedgehog does so much so well, and although it isn't perfect, it has such a well-crafted foundation for what could come next. It has 3 levels that will go down in my mind as being 3 of the greatest platformer levels out there in Green Hill, Spring Yard, and Starlight, as well as making even the more bad levels memorable because of their iconic set design and wonderful musical themes. Sonic 1 is charm, its edge, its character, its fucking 90s pizzazz, and I think above all else, it's just damn fun. Even with the criticisms I've leveled against it, I could play this game over and over, all day, because it's just so well made. The sense of speed, the control you have over momentum, the thought behind a majority of the level design makes Sonic 1 unforgettable, and there's a reason it spawned one of the most recognizable brands of all time. Ask your grandparents if they know Sonic the Hedgehog. Odds are they'll say, "What?" And you'll say, "Do you know Sonic the Hedgehog?" And they'll say, "What?" I said, "Do you know Sonic the Hedgehog?" It was so much fun playing Sonic 1, and I really enjoyed revisiting a game that I knew from my childhood. It was a really nice experience. You know when you go back and you play something that you remember being good and it ends up being bad, that feeling you get where you're like, "Oh, I wish I had never come back and revisited this. I like the memory." This was the opposite of that, because it reinforced why I love Sonic so much, and it was really fun. Thanks for watching. If you noticed that towards the end of the video my voice got a little bit different, you could probably still hear it up here. I got a cold while I was working on this video, and it just hasn't gone away yet. It's like gone. Like, I don't have a cold anymore, but like my sinuses are all still fucked up. And normally I would wait until after that period when my voice goes back to normal to like finish and record the rest of the script. But you saw the ad at the beginning. I had to submit this video for approval from Opera GX by a particular deadline. And I couldn't wait for my voice to get better. I already pushed it back with them as well. I already got an extension on it, so I just had to fucking roll with it, didn't I? But hopefully it didn't like make the video any like worse or anything. It probably didn't. It's just me. I can hear it. No one else. They're probably, you know, I don't know. Maybe can't make it. Doesn't matter. I've done it now. I am looking forward to potentially doing the rest of the Sonic games, kind of as just an excuse for me to play them all through again. I've played most of the mainline Sonic games, but there's some that I like haven't touched in a while or have never played, so it'll be fun to you know, do that and then try and break it down for a video. Some videos will be way longer than others. I can imagine that Sonic 06 video is going to be a length. If you want to check out all my other Sonic videos, I will link a playlist in the description which contains all of my Sonic videos, so you don't have to go searching for them, although you could just search Lasers Sonic and it'd probably pop up, but you know, I'll make it easy for you. If you did enjoy though and you got this far, maybe drop a sub, I'd appreciate it for any future Sonic content. Maybe drop a like, just, you know, give me that encouragement to work on more Sonic stuff, because if I know there's an audience for it and people want it, it makes it easier to make that a priority rather than, you know, another potential project. Talking about other projects, I have a couple in the works that are coming out soon. Number 1, Kenobi Disney Plus critique that's going to be all kinds of controversial. So that's going to be fun. And then also I'm working on doing a big project retrospective type deal for Kingdom Hearts 1 for the 20th anniversary. I know that's already been and gone, but it's still the same year that it turns 20, so, you know, it still works. And that's going to be really fun to work on too. I'm looking forward to getting to going on that script and, you know, putting that video together, as well as a Tomb Raider video I have planned, as well as AC1 retrospective, Witcher 1 retrospective, and whatever new games drop this year. I've got a few things to work on. But yeah, I'm really enjoying content creation again, and just working on things that I enjoy, not worrying too much about anything but that, and just having fun, putting the work in. If you want more content as well, obviously you can check out what I've got on my channel, but you can also go ahead, follow me on Twitch, and follow my channel, it's Lazboy as well, where I edit down stream content into videos. So if you only want to watch some video content, it's Lazboy is there. I'm editing down my playthroughs of every single Final Fantasy game, going through them for the first time, as well as streaming them. I'm gonna start Final Fantasy 7 soon. I am halfway through Final Fantasy 6 as we speak, and Final Fantasy 7 is on the horizon. I've never played it before, man. I've never played it before. It's going to be so fun. I'm so excited to play Final Fantasy 7 for the first time, so I'll be doing that on Twitch. But if you just don't care about streams and you just want to watch videos, the video condensing my experience and my reactions with Final Fantasy 7 will be on It's Lazboy in all due time. So subscribe to that channel. I'm trying to grow it, trying to put more stuff out on there, but I don't have an editor. It's just me, so things take a bit longer than, you know, maybe you'd hope, but I put a lot of effort in. I have a lot of passion for it, so check it out if you want. Anyways, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave comments down below. I'd appreciate anything you have to say to me, for me. I don't know. But I'll see you all soon in the next one. See you soon, gamers. And have a good day. Have a good one. Night, wherever you're from. I don't know. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.